India ranks 1 today. Close to about 500,000 road incidents and accidents have happened, resulting in close to about 200,000 deaths. This is very concerning, and these are numbers that are growing at a 14% year on year. Close to about 3,000 women filed a petition in the US urging Uber to put dashcams. We've done crazy surveys, and one of the surveys told us that 50% of women prefer taking an auto because it's easier to jump off. Roughly about 50 to 60% of all allegations on drivers are false positive allegations. The driver is always sitting on the right side, the driver is driving for about 10 to 12 hours. He gets sweaty and he will essentially be itching himself. Right? When you're looking from behind, it looks like he's doing something uncomfortable.
Thank you so much for doing this, Ankit. It's great to have you here, and I'm excited to learn more about you and Cautio's journey.
Likewise, man, thank you so much for inviting me.
So, can you start by telling us what was the moment that led you to start Cautio? When did it all come together?
I think it's a lot to do with the way we were thinking about this space for a long time. And dashcams is a category which is super interesting, super exciting. I've traveled across and I've seen dashcam penetration happen at scale in different countries. You take Hong Kong, China, take Dubai as well. We also read a very interesting article where we read that it was an article by TechCrunch where it said that some close to about 3,000 women filed a petition in the US urging Uber to put dashcams inside vehicles. It was primarily to promote safety. I was working at Namayatri last year, and we were looking at a lot of facets of the business along with operations business. We were also looking at safety ops. And on a daily basis, we could see incidents and accidents that were not really out in public appearance, but there was so much hearsay out there. Friction between driver, friction between passenger and driver, accidents. It's a new normal, was what a lot of people were telling us. And it was extremely surprising that none of us were doing anything to solve for it. Of course, there was GPS which was trying to tell you where the vehicle was, but no one was telling you what's happening inside the vehicle. And while I was, researching about the space, trying to understand how to solve for it deeply, a friend of mine went through a issue in one of the cab companies. I can't really name them, and it turned out to be extremely ugly. And there was a lot of noise. She was impacted from a mental standpoint, but no one could do anything because there was no evidence. And that was the trigger for us. It was the trigger for me rather that there needs to be something that needs to be built around this space, and that's how Cautio was born.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit more about safety. So, when I think about safety in like taking rides and so on, so there is the aspect of having like traffic accidents, and then there is also the aspect of like driver behavior and things around that. So, I personally know a lot of people that kind of like hesitate to use cabs or like certain services because they are kind of worried about the safety factor.
Yeah.
Where does Cautio fit into this story?
I think what you just spoke about, the fact that you've seen numbers, right? We've also heard we've done crazy surveys, and one of the surveys told us that 50% of women, approximately 50 to 55 in that range, percent of women prefer taking an auto because it's easier to jump off. And that's not the kind of mobility anyone wants to build, right? And if you look at Cautio, this is what we want to solve. The whole idea of us being in existence is that we want to make Indian roads safer, starting from inside with the vehicle. So today we work with fleet operators across the country where they understand what it means for a passenger to be dropped safely. They understand how important it is for the driver to behave well. And we are playing a very small role over there. So essentially, we are just being the anchor for something that they wanted for a long time, but it was not available in the market. Or maybe someone was not advocating or talking about it. You will see me talk a lot about dashcams today. I don't say that go buy a Cautio dashcam or subscribe to Cautio. I just say go get a dashcam. It's for your safety. It's your insurance. So I think Cautio is out there to make Indian roads safer. And we're starting that by education. We're starting that by talking about the fact that, roads are unsafe. No one is going to tell you that. You need to see it. You need to understand what others are going through. And a simple device, which is hardly going to cost anything to you, can go a long way in protecting you and others on the road as well. So that's where we see ourselves fit in, actually.
So, if I look at road safety overall, India has among the worst statistics when it comes to road traffic death rate and so on. What can be done?
I think just yesterday we were going through some of the data from North, and we were also looking at global reports. India ranks one today. Close to about 500,000 road incidents and accidents have happened, resulting in close to about 200,000 deaths. This is very concerning, and these are numbers that are growing at a 14% year on year. This is yearly number I'm talking about. We are not disciplined. I think that is something that all of us know in the bottom of our hearts. We get impatient when we drive on today's roads. That's also large to do with the infrastructure, right? I think roads are not designed for proper commute. But me, I might be indisciplined in the country, but if I go to any other country and I'm driving over there, I'm going to, stick to the speed limit. I will ensure I have my license. I will ensure that I'm not over speeding and all the other thing that suits the local condition, right? So it's more to do with your own psyche rather than, the fact that this is the new normal. And we believe that no one has essentially tried solving for this deeply. No one has been thinking about it. Of course, there have been companies who tried to come and sell dash cams, but they were not telling why dash cam is important for you or for anyone today. Like, let's take helmets as a category, right? It took so many years for it to become a mandatory. It was a luxury product when it started off, right? Today it's a necessity, it's a commodity. That's primarily because over the last couple of years so many accidents happened. People realized that there is an importance for helmets to exist, right? Similarly with dash cams, I think I would like to call dash cams the helmet for cars. It's a additional safety for you when things are going south. And I think we are still in that learning phase right now. We've been fortunate that we've gotten customers over the last 3-4 months who have kind of understood the value of it. Of course, it could be because they want to protect their fleets, because fleets are also expensive, or it is to ensure that drivers are well maintained, well trained. See, we are moving towards a time when earlier it was important for a passenger to move from point A to point B, right? No one was really bothered about experience, no one was bothered about safety, but the new normal is going to be experience, new normal is going to be safety. That is what companies like Chauffeur are focusing on, right? I mean, you speak to the founders of Chauffeur, they will tell you that they want to be the gold standard, and that essentially means that not only are we going to drop you from point A to point B safely at a good price point, but we will also ensure that your experience is top notch. We are essentially going to be part of that experience environment. We will be a silent catalyst sitting in one corner of the car, but essentially. So, a dash cam, there are two ways to think of it. There are normal dash cams that you get in the market on an Amazon or a Flipkart. These are essentially digital camcorders for your car. All it does is record things that are happening in and around you, mostly outside you. And that's about it. It's stored in that device. So, think of it as a black box which is restricted to that particular car. Then you have smart dash cams or AI powered dash cams, something that Cautio does today. So these are super smart devices which do not need human intervention. This is a device that looks at you at all times, as in the driver at all times, and it monitors the driving pattern. One of the biggest use case for this is fatigue. So today, most of the road accidents that happen today is because of fatigue, right? And that is primarily because no one is telling you that you're sleeping or you're falling tired, or because it's usually long journeys in commercial vehicle, right? The camera knows. The camera is looking at you. So that is the first use case. Of course, there are other things like, for example, in a three-wheeler or four-wheeler or educational campuses, the use cases change a little bit. Over there, driver behavior is something that we focus on. Is the driver smoking? Is the driver talking on the phone? Is he wearing a seat belt? Is he, speaking loudly inside the vehicle, right? On the This is on the inside of the cabin. On the outside of the cabin, it essentially monitors your driving behavior and driving patterns. Are you coming close to another car? Are you over speeding? Are you trying to break the signal? All of those are captured. This data is essentially real time. It can be streamed by the fleet operator sitting out of probably the Bahamas for all he cares about. But he has access to where his vehicle is, where his driver is, how is the passenger comfortable or not. And essentially, they use that data to either train the driver or to penalize the driver depending on whatever bucket he or she falls on. So, dash cams are now slowly moving away from being a dumb camcorder kind of a device to a smart self-reliant device, and that is what we're going after right now.
Any customer stories from Cautio that you want to share?
A lot of them, I think. um, one of our first customers is a company called Wazi Cabs, and they were the ones who gave us a PO for 100 vehicles when we had just had a prototype. We just met the founders. We got referred to him through someone, and it was one conversation with Bharat and Rajat over there that this is what we're trying to do. This is the device, and that's it. Like no clear insight as to kab launch kar rahe hain, what do we want to do, and all of that. And he's like, I love what you guys are doing. Here's a purchase order for 100 vehicles and 100 cameras or 100 vehicles. And that was the trigger for me also to quit my job. I was like, if, one meeting can get me 100 vehicles and someone is actually finding value out of it, then there is a larger market. At that point, we were not funded. We were still bootstrapped. Too many expenses in a hardware business, right? You have operating system that you're looking at, you're procuring stuff from different parts of the world, there's licensing, testing. So we were tight on cash at that point, so we could just get like 10 devices. That was the lowest MOQ our manufacturer also did for us. Gave it to Bharat and he put it in. And after 3 months, Bharat comes to us and says that, dude, the 10 vehicles where you have put the cameras have reported the lowest number of incidents compared to the 90 others, primarily because drivers started behaving well, drivers started driving well, right? And he's like, can you please give me the rest of the cameras, right? So I think that was also a good validation for the problem statement that we're trying to solve, right? And of course, we also have, see, in this business, there are some good stories where we have, so far, we have moved close to about 450,000 people safely. I mean, that's about 450,000 trips that have happened where my cameras were present in the car. We have so far clocked close to about 50 lakh kilometers in the last 3 months. That is that we call it the safe kilometers internally, right? So that is the biggest validation for us. But of course, we are now seeing a positive trend where drivers are starting to behave increasingly well. Drivers understand that this device is for their own safety, and it is going to backfire if they're not behaving or they're not driving well. There's evidence.
You spoke about safe kilometers. Apart from this, like, how do you guys think about metrics? What are some of the top metrics that you track at Cautio?
So, one is we try to first figure out how many passengers are safe because of us. I think that is the biggest metric for us. We started the company because we wanted India to move safely, and that starts with people being safe. So, on a daily basis, we see the number of trips that are happening across different clients, the number of alerts that are being generated. So what we essentially, so we have AI generated alerts, right? And our goal internally is that these alerts should go down to zero in the next couple of years, I guess. A month is too soon. But we have started seeing a steady dip happening. It's decreasing at about 2 to 3% month on month right now, which essentially means that the camera is now starting to capture less offenses. That means the driver has been behaving well. That means he's wearing a seatbelt, he's not talking on the phone, he's not driving in an unsafe manner. And that is something that we are going all out. And of course, other things like, is he taking the right route? How much time is he stuck in traffic? Because we have so much intracity data as well around GPS and pings around that. But we keep it very simple. We're like कि कितने लोगों के लाइफ में हम लोग कुछ इम्पैक्ट कर रहे हैं. Are we essentially being able to cater to more women customers? So today we have one customer where we are 100% deployed. We spoke to the founders and he said we are seeing a upsurge in women travelers now, primarily because they know that they can take a cab at 10 p.m. in the night or 2 a.m. in the morning. There is someone on the other side who is like a guardian angel watching them. So these are some of the metrics that we track, but of course we're now going deeper into some of the critical aspects of the business as well. But on a fundamental level, this is what we want to monitor on a daily basis.
What's the 10-year vision of Cautio?
We want Indian roads to be the safest roads in the world. Period. I mean, I'm not going to say that I want to do an IPO and all of that. Of course, we want to do an IPO and we want to be the samsara for the rest of the world. But if you ask me heart to heart, I think this is what we want to do. We want Indian roads to be the most disciplined roads in the world. That tag of us being the most unsafe needs to go away. And that will happen if someone like us steps up and takes that real responsibility.
Let's go back to the early days. Did you start building first or selling first?
Uh, I think a mix of both. Now, I was not actively selling, but I was essentially trying to gauge interest. I was trying to tease the market because we are a product which can fit really well in B2B and B2C. It was a fight between the head and the heart. Ki B2B kare ya D2C kare, right? Both the markets are massive markets for us. Today, of course, now given that we're looking at the space deeply from a B2B POV, we realize that the potential that it can unlock is much higher than D2C. But both of the markets are sexy enough for us to pursue, right? So when we started, one of the things that we did was we wanted to understand customers, we wanted to understand personas. So we spoke to close to about 200 to 20 auto drivers, cab drivers, fleet operators, people who were part of the ecosystem, my consumers, not passengers, essentially, right? I wanted to understand what is it that was missing, what is it that they believe they want in a product like ours, and are they okay to accept it? And we got crazy feedback. Like I think 95 to 96% of the people we spoke to said that we want dash cams, we're okay to pay upfront for it, right? Some of the people said that we are okay to pay on a subscription basis, but it should cost us one chai, one sutta. So that's roughly about 18 bucks is a cigarette and 10 rupees is a chai. So 28 to 30 rupees is what they were willing to pay. So we got crazy level of insights. They also told us why GPS is not working, why GPS is inefficient, right? So that was on the selling part where I was trying to sell the concept or the story. On parallelly, we were building as well. So we knew one thing very clearly, that in order to make this into a massy product or a product that was accepted by even an auto driver to all the way up to a fleet aggregator, the price point is something that needs to be worked out deeply. So we, by doing all of these customer surveys, speaking to people, we also understood what was the sweet spot for the customer or the consumer to pay at the end of the day, right? So we locked the price point basis that we understood कि अगर मुझे subscription में देना है, I need to amortize it over a period of X number of months. So my device cost can be Y. And keeping that Y as a target, we started working backwards to build the hardware, the business rather. And that's where the first prototype that we worked on was at a cost of about 25,000 rupees. The second prototype came down to about 12,000 rupees. By the time we were at our fourth or fifth prototype, we had already touched 9,000 rupees manufacturing cost in India. And then we decided to now do it at scale. And the number that we were able to achieve after all of the iteration was something which was much better than what we had anticipated. So we had put Y as a number. We were able to achieve much lesser than that figure as well. So I think it was primarily because both of these things were existing in parallel. We were talking to customers in parallel, we were taking real-time feedback, insights, everything, and we were also co-building the product with them. So what we prefer to do is whatever work that goes on the hardware side or on the operating side, right? We believe that it will make sense, it will work only if you co-build it with the people who are using it. So that's what we do on a daily basis today.
I want to double click on B2B versus B2C. So businesses would have like a different perspective. Like how should a business decide like, okay, now is the time for me to work with someone like Cautio? What is the proposition for a business, let's say fleet owner or someone like that?
Right. So, for a fleet owner, there are two things that they're looking at solving for. One is safety. Now, the safety could again be for the fleet itself, which is an expensive asset. It could be for the driver, who could essentially be a contract worker of sorts for the car, for the fleet owner, or it could be for passenger safety, right? So fleet owners who are looking from safety POV essentially want to ensure that the vehicles are running in full capacity, but in the safest manner. They're ferrying people from point A to point B. The drivers are behaving well, and if in case there is some incident or accident happens, the car and the driver see the lowest possible downtime if it is a third party issue. If it is a driver related issue or a driver instigated accident or issue, that's a different thing altogether, right? But they essentially want to eliminate this hearsay, like कि ये बंदा कुछ बोल रहा है, driver कुछ बोल रहा है, passenger कुछ बोल रहा है, right? The entire, you can't come to a conclusion, right? You essentially end up settling. Someone has to bow down saying that ठीक है यार, 2,000 रुपये ले चले जा, 20,000 रुपये ले चले जा, and there's no cap to that, right? that is what they want to eliminate. So today, fleet operators who work with us, who go through accidents, there are a bunch of them who go through accidents on a daily basis across the country, right? They're like, our cameras acting as a source of evidence helps them reduce the tat in case there is an incident, an accident. एक तो है कि insurance claims become much faster because there's evidence of what has happened. Second is law enforcement agencies don't have to spend a lot of time with you anymore. Lawyers don't have to spend more time with you anymore. Evidence है ये हुआ है, either it's a good to go or it's not a good to go. That's about it. There's no a third way out of it, right? So the tat has reduced. So that is why safety as a piece is working out really well. The second anchor is also the fact that today there are a bunch of fleet operators who are exclusive to platforms. Now, you could be a small fleet aggregator with about 100 cars, but you're exclusive with, say, a Uber, Ola, Rapido, Namayatri of the world, right? Your driver is expected to do trips only on that platform, but drivers do trips offline as well, right? That is essentially dead kilometers for the fleet aggregator who's paying for the energy and paying for the car and paying to the driver as well. So in this case, having just GPS data doesn't help because the driver can tell 100 things, right? He's like, yeah, I was crossing that road. You don't know who's sitting inside the car. With something like a dash cam or with something like a video telematics solution, when there is no booking and if the driver is going away from the path or not coming to the hub or not accepting trips, you can exactly know why he's not doing it. So these are the two primary reasons why fleet operators or owners now uh, use us, adopt us, and are endorsing us. And for knowing all of this, right, they pay a very minuscule fee to me. It's a minuscule subscription fee. So when they are earning money, they are paying me. That is where I add a value. And if there is any incident or accident or anything that I mitigate, right, my cameras are able to help mitigate. They are recovering the entire money that they pay me for a month for all the vehicles that they have. So for them, paying me a 700, 800, 900 is a no-brainer. So from a pricing POV, we work out well for them. From an experience POV, they love us primarily. So you pick up any of my customers today, even without me being there, they're going to tell you that we love Cautio because the customer experience is good. And that is what each of our team members have been told, right? I mean, we're okay to lose business. We're okay not to grow, but customers should be happy. If there's an accident, there's an incident or anything that has happened, we should be the first ones standing up for them because we are the line of defense for them. So we earlier used to say that we want to be the Amex level of customer service, but now I've started following Ganesh a lot from Fredo, and we have internally changed the mandate. We're like, we want to be the Fredo in this space. I mean, I love the customer service over there. And the third thing is the fact that given that we are full stack, right? We are a tech first company. The hardware is something that we run. We have the rights to the hardware. We understand what goes inside the hardware. The operating system is also something that we built in house, right? So this gives us the flexibility to basically make changes, do tweaks, new product launches or a new feature set launches, which other platforms don't do today. There are some customers who wanted an API first approach. We were the only ones who were able to give it to them. So they have one single unified operations dashboard along with Cautio coexisting in that same dashboard, right? So all of these things come into play when you hear your customers, when you understand what you want. In fact, one of the most interesting things which you might not hear, we are probably one of the only SaaS companies in this space which decided to go multilingual from day zero. Usually this exists for commerce platforms or content-led platforms, but Cautio is in 7 languages today on the operating system front. Why? Because ops people are more comfortable in the language of their choice. We're doing the same thing for the hardware now as well. So we are essentially listening, we are understanding on a daily basis, and only then we are deploying. And that is where the education part is coming in, because we are first learning, and then we are preaching to the world ki ye karna hai, ye chahiye. And then we're seeing acceptance happen. So we're taking it very slowly. We're thinking about it from first principles, not following any playbooks. We're like कि इस business में एक ही बंदे ने playbook बनाया, that's samsara. We want to be samsara. We know what samsara has done. I think we look up to them, what they have built. They have essentially made roads in US so much safer today, right? They have crazy penetration in commercial vehicles. Their drivers are very, very well behaved, primarily because of one device, right? So of course, we are understanding Indian consumers and building according to that, but good people to look up to. That's what we believe.
Let's go to the B2C use case. So if, let's say, I as an individual, I have a vehicle for private use, should I buy a dash cam, and how should I look at the investment in purchasing the dash cam versus what do I expect to get out of it?
See, you should definitely get a dash cam. If you don't have a dash cam, please buy a dash cam, right? It doesn't matter which brand it is. I think, like I said, right, we're still very early in that journey. Our first phones were never an iPhone. It was just a phone that we got. We wanted to use it. That is what I want people to do when it comes to a dash cam. Even if it is a very, very shitty product, it's okay. Just get it. It is getting into that habit. A dash cam can cost you anywhere between 3,000 rupees to all the way up to 25,000 rupees as well, depending on the brand, model, make, camera quality, lens, etc. All of that, right? Um, Start with the 3,000 to 5,000 rupees wala dash cam. It will do the job. It will record the content. It will help you when you go through shit. And today, if you look at Bangalore roads itself, right, it's so common for incidents and accidents to happen. That infamous Sajapur stretch, you would have seen a lot of incidents, and you never know when it can happen, right? It's like health insurance. You need medical insurance, health insurance, right? You keep paying the premium. One day it is going to come to you. It is going to help you, and it is going to happen in everyone's lives, right? I have a health insurance for the last 4 5 years. Fortunate, touchwood, I have not used it, but I know I will have to use it someday, right? Same like motor insurance as well. You take it with the mindset कि यार हाँ ठीक है, एक टाइम इन्वेस्टमेंट है. बैंगलोर में गाड़ी ठुकता तो है. Accidents are very common. From what I remember, I think I read somewhere or I heard somewhere that every car has at least gone through one claim in 2 years, which is like, even if someone comes and tells me, right, I don't even have to go back and look at reports. I know that is the truth. Now, you have had an accident that has happened, everything has happened, right? Today, insurance companies are also becoming very stringent. Insurance premiums have been growing significantly at 14 15% year on year. Insurance guys will come, they will look at your car, they'll wait it out, they will think, karna hai, nahi karna hai, blah, blah, blah. And given that today, that is also, it's a regulated market as well, there are a lot of eyes in terms of claims and all of that, right? But if you want to fasten the process, all you need to do is remove your SD card and give it to him. Give him the evidence of what has happened. So for 3,000, 5,000 rupees for a device which is going to stay for a period of 4 years, you are hardly paying 1,000 rupees a year, and probably no additional cost.
So this seems like a very structural thing. Like I would imagine that it almost impacts something like insurance premiums as well. Absolutely. Where if I am a well behaved driver, I should pay less insurance premiums.
Absolutely. That already exists in the West. There are, driver score basis insurance. There are bite size insurance depending on two factors primarily: driver behavior and driving pattern. That is going to come to India. IRDAI has already recognized it. It was missing so far because they were trying to build it on top of telematics or GPS. It doesn't work on top of GPS. It works on top of video telematics, because you need to see the driver and how he's driving. Just by trying to extract the information from the car, you're not doing justice to anyone by trying to build a product over there. Maybe the car is able to tell you that sharp braking ho raha hai, but you don't know why that sharp braking happened at that point, right? Maybe it was a third party problem, but you will knock off, you will probably add a few more percent to his insurance premium. So till the time there is no visual evidence, you cannot build a solid product. And that was what has been missing in the space. We are also focusing deeply on the insurance space. We're building something right now where we are again thinking from first principles perspective, right? What is it that the customer will find value out of? Of course, for someone to put a dash cam, they will want some discount in terms of premium. I mean, it's like an incentive to them, right? B, they should also have a good insurance partner who understands the need of an insurance backed by Dashcam, right? Both of these are super important. So again, in that education phase, even in the insurance space, we are currently working with someone in this space, and hopefully we will go live with the product very soon around that.
So I want to highlight something, which is what I'm getting from hearing you is that you are underlying very, very pro India. You are hopeful about India. You are all in on India and improving the conditions in India. That is quite different from a lot of founders that I know personally as well, where they seem to be bearish on India, or like we don't want to sell to Indian businesses. Right. So, tell us a little bit about what has been your experience selling to India, and in how do Indian businesses approach this?
I mean, I think India is a large enough market. And if you're able to understand your customers and your consumers, you can sell anything over here. Of course, we are a price sensitive country and all of that, right? But if you're able to show value for that price, you have customers. And I understand the mobility space deeply because I was part of the Bounce team, early team at Bounce Infinity, then Namayatri. I have sold scooters. I have also given scooters at subscription. Then I have essentially enabled people to move around with Namayatri as well, right? And we have tested pricing across the board. We know that, India itself is such a large market that one player cannot do it all. And we also were told, I mean, most of the new VCs that we started speaking to, they said that why don't you look outside of India? Of course, we are going to look outside of India, but when the time is right. Today, there might be demand we, of course, do have demand coming in from other parts of the world as well, but we do not want to discount the fact that India's commercial market is the heart of the country, right? About 8 crore vehicles exist in the country in the commercial vehicle space, which is one of the largest. And if you're able to help them move efficiently, not only are you helping the larger country in terms of road safety incidents, but you're also directly contributing to the country's growth. Because see, if we're able to improve efficiency, that means more number of trips will happen, right? Less number of accidents will happen. More commerce will be enabled. So we want to solve for India first. We believe that India has a story that needs to go out, and we believe that even if we don't go outside of India, right, we can be a very, very large company sitting right here. And that is what we're going after. And it's also personal, right? I think, like I said earlier, my friends have gone through it. I don't want anyone else to go through it again. I spoke to, I think, I have what, 6, 7 female friends, really close female friends, and I spoke to them about this. I asked them that, have you gone through incidents or anything that made you uncomfortable? Surprisingly, everyone, not even one person said we haven't, right? That is not the type of India I want to build. I believe that Cautio can play a small role in fixing that, and we want to fix it at our home first before going and doing it for others.
So one thing I've noticed in selling to India is that you need to have that context. Like the solutions that you build for this market need to be kind of contextually aware on what you are really trying to solve, and does it really work in the context of the Indian ecosystem, the environment, the society, how everything is set up. Right. So is there any part of the Kosho product or offering that is really, really contextualized to India?
I think everything is localized to India. So no, if you look at the way our alerts come, right? Like earlier devices that we were testing out, when they were not able to differentiate between a human being and a two-wheeler, because in the West it's not okay for a human being to cross the road, and two-wheelers and four-wheelers also don't go on the same road, right? So a lot of localization happened to ensure that the camera is able to read into Indian conditions and understand that it is okay for people to cross. It's normal over here. Language was something that we decided to support, right? We decided to support all languages, which was something which is very rare. Third is, we realized after speaking to customers is that what kind of hardware are they looking for? No, I mean, if you look at the fleet business, they're not looking for a 4K camera or a 2K camera. They want something that is able to capture the number plate clearly. It is able to capture the recording clearly, right? So the hardware was built after sitting with these guys. we also realized that most of the hardware today in our country, especially in the telematics business, run on 2G SIM cards. We are like, why 2G? Our country has progressed all the way up to 5G, right? Let's make this device 5G. We were the first ones who offered 5G on our device. Essentially, this also meant that the real timeness of the data became more and more better, right? So when we started off, I think there was a latency of close to about 45 to 60 seconds from the time it was recorded till the time it was coming to the fleet operator or the end customer, right? Today it is at about I think about 10 to 11 seconds, which is as good as real, right? And more than that, we also realized ki network in the country might fluctuate across. What do you have to do over there? So we figured out ways in which we locally store the content during that time. It gets queued up and then gets uploaded. So a lot of those first principle thinking around ki as a customer, what would I want from a camera, and as a fleet owner, what is it that he would be happy looking at, without compromising on quality, without compromising on customer service, but ensuring that you're able to give it at a price point where there is the least amount of friction. We have never lost a customer because of pricing. We have never had a customer come back and discount with us. Like if when I go to them and I tell them that you pay me 700, 800, and whatever it is, right? They're like, where do we negotiate? Right? There's no, I mean, you will think twice, right? When I'm coming with a product which is so powerful, you will think that it is going to cost 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 upfront. But I'm like, you pay me, you pay me on a monthly subscription way. I'll figure out a way to make this work for you at scale. And that is the reason why people like us, why people want to work with us. We have crazy organic demand. And that organic demand is not only fueled because of what we are doing on the tech side, but it is also because we are the only ones who are understanding what customers want. If someone wants safety, we are very well prepared. We know that this is a client who's anchoring only on safety. This is what they have been talking about. This is what they want to believe. This is how they look at India. If someone is looking at revenue leakage, someone who has probably done a strategic partnership with someone else, right? We talk that language. But it is important for you that before, it cannot be a cold selling in a category like this, right? Because fleet market is now starting to get organized. It has been an unorganized market. It has been an unorganized rich market, cash rich market, right? Only now there is a businesses being built around it. So we are essentially trying to help both business, both that kind of people over here, right? People who don't come from that mindset and people who come from that mindset. And we are trying to talk to them like their friends, like we own 100 cars, we know what they're going through, we sit with them, we understand, and only then we give out solutions. In fact, one of the most interesting things that we do is I had a Wakefit mattress and I liked that 30 days wala return wala thing, right? We decided let's do that for ourselves as well. We take a small security deposit, a small rental from you. You test out the products in as many vehicles as you want. We don't put a cap to that. You don't like it at 30 days, no question asked, I will take the devices back. That worked out really well for us. So customers started testing with 10 vehicles, 20 vehicles, 30 vehicles, and then essentially ended up giving us their entire fleet. Because वो trust बन गया था उनका तब तक. So I don't go with the mindset that I have to sell. I go with the mindset that I need to at least educate one more person कि यार डैश कैम लगा दोगे ना, आप अपना तो भला कर रहे हो, but you're also ensuring that a third party benefits from what you're doing. That is what we're doing. So we're heavy on community. We really want to push that narrative forward.
How big is the Cautio team?
We are now 22 people.
So overall, so hearing your journey, it seems like Cautio and the whole team must be like very kind of on the ground and really, really thinking about the customer at every step.
Absolutely.
It would be very ops heavy as well, that you have to actually go out and do these installations and things like that.
Actually, not. We have. If you look at the overall team, I think Pranjal's team would be about 60% of the entire manpower. Of course, that also includes the R&D team that is led by Rajiv. On the business side, we have just 3 ops people in Bangalore. We have 1 ops person in Bombay. Each city, we don't think we will need more than 3 to 4 people. So we want to divide, each city into clusters. We know the 10 cities that we want to go after. We will have 3 or 4 people in these cities, primarily helping the customer with last. installations. See, the thing is, we all and devices like these, जब तक आप इसको छेड़ोगे नहीं, it is going to do its job, right? Because the amount devices start to wear off when you have physical contact with them, right? Dash cams are something, it is there. It's like your CCTV, right? It has been there for years. You don't look at it, it looks at you. When you want footage, you go to your phone and see. That's about it, right? So, operationally, what we do is installations, some of it is driven by customers today. Like, they're like, "Ki, aap 10 gaadiyon mein kar lo." We will do the rest of it. We just have to tell them what needs to be done. Some of it we do with our partner network across the country. And very, very few customers who are probably our premium customers with premium cars where the form factor is different. The installation is either done by me, it is either done by Pranjal, or it is either done by Rajiv. So all of us have spent time in also understanding how to do installations, right? If you don't every car is slightly different from each other in terms of, if it's an electric car to chhod do, like you might expect the wiring to be on the right side, but you'll realize it's under the gear. In some cars in BYD, the wiring happens under the gearbox as well, right? So we first ensure that all new vehicles that come in. So Rajiv is a partner at Cautio. He has done installations right from an auto all the way up to a trailer in all form factors, including buggies, and also he understands kaun sa wire kahan pe hai. You call him and you tell him that, this device, this wire we are not able to find, he will exactly pinpoint it. So first set of devices are always done by us. We also want to study, understand, what are the different kind of vehicles coming, given that there's so many new models coming in. And after that, we essentially hand it over to the team to do it.
So Pranjal, who I know is your co-founder, tell us about how you met him and like how did you guys decide to get started on this?
So I have known Pranjal since 2011 now. So we went to school together, so around about 13, 14 years now. He was one of the toppers of the batch. I was also topping from the bottom, so I was the last bencher. And of course, I stayed there for 2 years, and we went our separate paths. I had to take a drop here. I kind of flunked in one of my math paper, and Pranjal went on to do engineering, and I joined NIFT after that. So I was in Bangalore. He was, I think, by then in Gurgaon. He was working with our urban company there. Very passively in touch, primarily on LinkedIn for the first few years, and then started speaking. And he moved to Bangalore about 2 years back, and we just met at Starbucks in HSR. We were just talking, and he had a very exciting journey as well, from urban company to Dream 11 to Card 91. That time he was working there, and that man was very frustrated with the roads of our city. And we were speaking deeply about it. I was at Namayatri, so I also was seeing from a third person, first person. You can put any POV. I was looking from all the POVs as to what was happening, right? And we realized that it's such a large enough problem, and we have become so comfortable not solving for it that we are thinking that it's the new normal, right? But I think our generation has been fortunate that now access to capital is slightly easier, so we are able to travel, we are able to discover more, we are able to go to different countries and live that culture and live that life. It has been that for me, it has been that for Pranjal as well, and we always end up benchmarking ourselves against those countries, right? So I think I had just done a trip to I think Hong Kong, if I'm not wrong, and he had also just come back from Dubai. And we were just speaking, like, we were like, "Okay, roads are so much better. There is, of course, there is traffic, but it's a moving traffic, it's a disciplined traffic, and all of that." And we initially thought that, okay, it was good conversation. It was just a conversation that we had. In fact, me and Pranjal, I don't think a lot of people know, this is the second company that we're trying to build together. The first one was also last year itself. So we started something called as Poetic Press, which is primarily a PR automation platform. So we wanted to essentially replace PR agencies like Ad Factors, MSL, with something which is more tech first. We got crazy response from journalists who wanted to work with us, but we got like close to negative response from startups and companies that we thought of onboarding as clients. So that didn't work out well. It was a good platform. We had also raised a small seed round for that. We returned that capital. It was not used at all, and took some time off to figure out what we wanted to really do. And dashcams as a concept was something that was on my head. I think now it's the third year that's running. And I told Vivek, who's the founder of Bounce, it was just one conversation. I was like, Vivek, I just have a hunch that this will become a category which will become mandatory in our country. And I told him that 5 years it will become mandatory. I think I have 3 more years to prove myself right. But we also, I mean, I was seeing tailwinds. I was, observing patterns across the country, like very similar to how helmets became mandatory, fastags became mandatory, HSRP codes. We were seeing conversations happening across the country. And while at Namayatri, while I was I was helping the team out on safety and security piece as well. We were observing trends where, P0 issues, P1 issues were escalating because demand bhi zyada badh raha tha, number of trips were also increasing. And at that point, it was that eureka moment ki yaar, dashcam will fit in really well in commercial vehicle spaces, right? Especially if a cab or a auto can have dash cams, it's going to be a game changer. Like, imagine people will call us the safest country and the most responsible country only by doing this, right? Of course, it was easier said than done. I mean, we spent a lot more on figuring out whether this was the right market for us or not, what are the type of customers who will agree to it or not. But when we started off, we were clear about one thing, that we wanted to solve for Namayatri first. We wanted to solve for auto drivers first. We wanted to solve for that category. Because auto drivers don't have a great reputation, right, today in Bangalore as a city, especially. So we wanted to solve for that first. And we were building prototypes, testing it out continuously to see what was the feedback coming like. And I remember last October was when one of the founders of Namayatri, we had put two devices in two of their vehicles. So Shan comes and Shan is like, dude, you need to leave Namayatri immediately. For a minute, I thought I was getting fired. But he's like, no, you need to go out and build this. This is perfect. And this makes a lot more sense now that we have a hardware, it is working and all of that, right? So me and Pranjal decided that, okay, let's do it. I mean, it makes so much sense. And I quit first. I left in October and Pranjal joined in Jan. Pranjal was the angel investor for that 2-3 months. And I think that was also the period which was one of the toughest periods for us, because we were trying to raise money, we were trying to run prototypes, we were getting organic demand, which was a good problem to have, but it was also stressful, right? I mean, you're not able to cater to whatever is coming to you. So that's when we realized that there is something that can be large built out of it. And both of us just jumped in and we started working on it. I think it's been I think one and a half years now. Close to both of them.
How's the prototyping journey?
Okay. Lots of fights, lots of debates, disagreements on pricing, disagreements on the feature set. But this is why I look up to Rajiv, who's a partner with us. He takes care of R&D. I mean, when he speaks, we keep shut, and he's essentially the guy who is like, this is right, this is wrong, this is my way, this is the way we are going after. Sorry. And what we have realized is his ways have actually worked out much, much better for us. So we started our first iteration in the month of July. July was when we started last year, July. There was this big box. It was essentially a power bank. On top of that, we had fit lenses, and we were just trying to see if we can get that camera to connect to the cloud. That was the first thing, because in India, connected dash cams did not exist. It still doesn't exist. I think we were the first ones who you were thinking in that direction. We didn't At that time, we did not even know what Samsara was. We didn't know what Nexar was doing. We didn't know what Natrodyne was doing. We had zero idea about our competition. Because one of the things that I realized, कि if I knew any of my competition, that means I would have ended up working with them, because मैं mobility में काम कर रहा हूँ 7 साल से. If no one has come and pitched me anything in the last 7 years, I have had different type of companies come and pitch me, right? Different type of products. Telematics तक till GPS companies I've had. But video may I have had never anyone come and pitch me, and I did not even want to research more. I was like, agar kisi ne, people know me, people know that I've been part of this industry for a long time. So if someone has not spoken to me about it, this either isn't a large enough product in the market already, or this is not something that anyone has looked at. That was the motivation that I needed in life. I didn't want to, go do research and all of that. I'm the kind of person who likes to believe that what I'm thinking at that point might make sense, right? I want to go with that gut feeling to begin with. And that was what we did. Of course, the reports, research, then understanding market started to happen much, much later. Prototyping में ना ये कुछ ज़रूरत नहीं होता. Prototype mein, if you believe that there's a product that can be used, can have a customer, just go out and build it. That's what me, Rajiv, and Pranjal decided, that itna hi karna hai. And we started churning out prototypes very fast. So Pranjal's house in Electronic City, one of the rooms over there was a lab for us. Man had a 3D printing machine, so made life easy for us. We started churning out quick prototypes, and by I think we were at our fifth prototype when we were convinced that this was making sense. And we put one in my car, one in Pranjal's car, ran it for I think a few thousand kilometers, and the camera was working. It was working perfectly fine. It was the first made in India camera. Like we never thought that हम लोग इतना deeply hardware के बारे में सोचेंगे. And then we removed it from my vehicle and Pranjal's vehicle, put it at Namayatri to get feedback. This was in October when, the founders told me to leave. And by October, we knew that this was making sense. And November was when we did a trip to Hong Kong to, identify what other global players are doing, what is the market looking like, how can we do manufacturing and all of that. December, we had manufacturing locked in, and we were good to go. I think we essentially have moved very, very fast in the last 1 year. I think sometimes I feel that we are moving slow, but when I pause and when I speak to my colleagues, I realize that we've done a lot in the last 1 year, and we're just getting started. We built a hardware, we built an operating system. We got 14 customers. We have paying customers. We have 2 enterprise deals in work. We managed to set up a beautiful office. We have 22 people who believe in what we are trying to do. Some of the best talent that we have managed to get. And moreover, we got support from investors like Antler, MeitY, AU Bank. A bank was something that we didn't think will come in at such an early stage. So I think this is also because there's a lot of tailwind supporting our action. There's a lot of tailwinds indicating that India needs dashcams, and Cautio might be the right approach to look at into this space.
How was your experience with fundraising and finding those opportunities?
I think it's a frustrating journey. I think you know it as well. You've done it multiple times now. For me, it was my first time as a founder. I've of course observed other people fundraising. I've observed Namayatri folks fundraising. I've observed Vivek fundraising. Right, he raised massive capital, so I've seen him very closely, and it feels easy when you're on the outside of it, but it sucks the blood out of you and the patience out of you. But I like what Nitin tells me. Nitin is a partner at Antler. He tells me that one, this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And second, he keeps telling me that you need one believer in each round. You don't need multiple people. If multiple people are saying yes, then don't do that business at all, right? Because you know what happens after that. It's a shit show. So I think Antler has always been true to their words. Antler was that first believer in us. I still remember last year, December, I was going through this crazy time where, I was trying to move out of that operator zone and become a founder. And that is the most difficult zone, right? Because you are getting a very comfortable salary, you have ESOPs over there, you have all the luxuries in the world, and then all of a sudden you realize that okay, next month's salary nahi aane wali, right? And even that FNF is going to go towards your company's expansion or whatever you're looking at. So December was, I think, October when I quit. November, December was the toughest period, right? I was in a zone where I was still trying to figure out कि कर क्या रहा हूँ मैं, because I did try attempting fundraise before that, much before I was leaving Namayatri. I was thinking, but that entire economy changed, right? I mean, the mindset of investors changed. Market went through a tough time because of all the other players going down, and it essentially did not stop us. It delayed the process. So my only fear was that we shouldn't be too late, because people know what we're trying to do. It's we didn't want to lose that first set of customers that we had. I think December around 25th, 26th, around that time, Suhas Motwani is a very, very dear friend. And I was just ranting to him. I was like, yeah, what is this? We know what we're trying to do is massive. And, just because some of the Indian VCs don't understand hardware, or the fact that, hardware can become big in India. I don't want, this dream of making India safe go away. And he's like, chill, it is going to work out. And that's all he said, right? And next day, I get a call from Antler. And turns out our man has spoken to Antler and referred us to them that, why don't you speak to Ankit and understand what he was doing. And I think I had my first call with some of the associates over there, Karan and team. Then ended up speaking to Rajiv the next day. Rajiv is a partner again. And I think 15 minutes into the conversation, Rajiv is like, it was great talking to you, and tap khatam. That was it. And I think after a day or two, I got a confirmation from Antler saying that so they had just launched Teams that time, which is the new under the residency. It's an accelerated way for you to get to IC. And I told Rajiv that Rajiv, we spoke internally as well. Rajiv, Nathan, all of them were there. That I don't think we are in a position to come and stay for 3 4 months, but those guys are the most flexible guys I've met. They're like, come, spend 1 month, 1.5 months, continue to build your business the way you're building. We had by then also hired a very senior resource who came in from one of the competition. He was the global head of sales over there. And we had people to pay at that time as well. So it didn't make sense for us. But I think January was when we started working with them, and life changed after that. I think Antler was the first investor to give us that pre-term sheet. They were convinced that this is a good enough and a big enough problem to solve for. And of course, by the time we were speaking to Antler, we also got selected for Origami by 8i. We were one of the first startups which 8i funded in that new program. They've just launched the second version of that as well. I met Vishy. Vishy is the partner over there, and he's also a big dreamer, and he believes in that India story. He believes that large brands can be built. And he was also a frustrated Dashcam user. So that was what worked out. And I think I still remember him telling me that I have changed some 3 4 dash cams, and I think all of them are shit. And I remember the pitch with him was the funniest pitch. So we were supposed to meet at a Starbucks in Banagada, and that Starbucks is all glass from all sides, right? And it was peak summer. So that Starbucks was all heated up and AC was not working. So we started the pitch there, did not work out. We tried crossing the road. We went to California Burrito. I pitched him over there also for 2 minutes. That was also shut. We went uske baad to the basement of that building, opened the laptop. That is how I presented to Vishy. And Vishy essentially understood what we were trying to do. We had a camera in our car as well, so we showed him how it works. We saw the camera he had in his car and why he was frustrated and all of that. And he understood what we were chasing and what we were going after. Of course, dashcams is something that is the need of the hour now, but he also believes that India needs to move safely. Roads need to become safer. He's a big believer, like I said. And then I met Vikram. Vikram is the other partner. And Vikram believes that this essentially can become a very, very large business because of the other things like insurance, lending, optimization, autonomous vehicles, all the other things that can be built. So we like to think of ourselves as an infrastructure layer. So we don't call ourselves as a dashcam company. We call ourselves as a deep tech AI company building video as an infrastructure layer, similar to what UPI has been doing. And that is what these guys have. They were able to decode much before I was able to, find words to structure it. So that was easy. Pre-seed round was fairly very easy. I think AU Bank was the other investor who came on board. They gave us a debt, unsecured debt at that point when I had zero revenue. I had probably 3 4 customers and had just raised my first round of funding. And I remember Ranjan Bhai, Ranjan sir, I like to call him Bhai. Ranjan Bhai heads the new emerging businesses at AU Bank. We had one conversation with him. It was Antler guys I had only introduced. And I told him what we were trying to do. And he's like, I'm sold. I love what you're doing. And he wrote us that first debt. And yeah, we've managed to so far build some great relationships because of the existing folks that we worked. We got some great angels who came on board, some very very good founders from mobility companies who came. And yeah, currently doing another round, and the process starts all over again. We're hoping to announce something soon.
All the best for that.
Thank you, thank you.
I think in India, both founders and investors kind of shy away from hardware. So, what do you think has to change? One, in terms of founder mindset, to be more comfortable to tackle a hardware problem, and from an investor perspective, how should an investor evaluate a hardware company?
It's a good question, honestly. I've been thinking about it deeply as well. I think absolutely right. Hardware investments in India have been significantly low. People find SaaS businesses or B2B businesses, which are in the automation space, much, much sexier. Like for someone like you, probably raising is easier compared to me. Of course, you're equally building a very difficult business, right? But your story is very easy to understand because it is inward outward. That's about it, right? In mine, there are a lot of things that need to come together. The hardware needs to come together, the operating system needs to come together, the AI layer needs to come together. It's a full stack solution, right? Then I have customers on the other end who are paying me X, Y, depending on, it has to be customized, right? Then I'm solving for the problem through my security teams, etc. So which is why hardware is essentially an anchor, right? You need the hardware for this business to make sense. Now, if you think about it, if I didn't have a hardware, I will be a GPS business. GPS businesses have been done in India. They are not sexy anymore, right? At some point, some categories need the infusion of hardware. You take posh machines, right? POS machines. You need those machines. You need cell phones. Of course, given that software businesses are much better margin making, easier to understand, highly scalable, you can operate with lean teams, all of those 100 things, right? Great. But if I have to solve for India, if I have to solve for problems in India, I will have to think first principles. That means that the dash cam has to be the anchor. It has to sit in someone's car. So that is something I think some of the VCs, at least one of the beautiful things that has happened with us is everyone understands the value of Cautio. Everything understands what we're trying to gun after. Risk taking appetite has come down. And in our business, we have ensured that across different facets of the business, right, we have reduced risk drastically. It is to imagine India 5 years from now or 10 years from now. What is it going to take? Now, like I said, right, video as an infrastructure layer is what we are going after. That means that I need to first sort out my basic principles. That is, get hardware out, collect data, analyze data, help people feel safer on a day to day basis, build products on top of it. If India was not going to be hardware first, Jio wouldn't have existed in the first place. Jio ने SIM card से start किया था, right? That SIM card has now resulted in everything, right? From your phones to your laptops to even surveillance cameras that they've started putting up. The next decade is going to be a hardware decade. Like software में ना, you will cap out after one point. और कितना बना लोगे? और क्या बना लोगे? Especially in road safety, और क्या बना लोगे आप जो भी बनाओगे, you anyways have to put it as a layer on top of something. What is that something? You cannot put it on top of a driver's phone, right? You cannot put it on top of a passenger's phone. You will never have commercial vehicles which will be retrofitted with one single fit for all kind of a dash cam or an inbuilt camera. It is possible in retail as a category, not in commercial vehicle. Does that mean that you will not make these vehicles safe? No, you have to still make these vehicles safe. How do you do it? You do it through cameras. That is hardware. If I am able to build a brand out of it, it is great, right? Or else they will go to markets like these Chinese. They will go for Chinese products. They'll go to the unregulated market. They will pick devices from there, which may or may not be acceptable in the court as evidence. So I think we need more believers like Antler and MeitY. That is what I want to, probably highlight. We need more investors who understand that, 5 to 10 years, the story is going to evolve. The story might become much, much bigger. But underlining truth is that they have had a role in making India safe.
I think one thing that stands out to me in your journey is that there was always, from inception, this element of organic pull. That was the trigger that caused you to jump into this. That was the trigger that helped out with R&D and prototyping and scaling and all of these things. For a lot of founders, that is not the case. That they are kind of trying to hunt down or find that organic pull, and when they get a little bit of it, they are trying to figure out like, okay, how do I really grab onto it? So, what would be your advice to a founder who is in that zone of like trying to get that organic pull but isn't getting it? How do you go about finding it, and how do you go about nurturing it?
I think listen to your customers. You listen to one customer, right? You will understand what's happening in the industry. For me, that has been the biggest understanding. Like Bounce taught me that, Vivek taught me that. Vivek has taught me since day zero. So I started as an intern with him in 2014. 2014 to 2018, he taught me that, learn to speak to everyone. Be okay to get up and get out of your comfort zone and speak to everyone. The max that they will say is no. That is what he had told me, right? Like, which if I'm confident in life today, it's primarily because of that. I was never like that before. Second is hear what they want. During Bounce Infinity, when we launched the scooter, we realized that we wanted to cater to middle India. We wanted to cater to people who were not able to afford a expensive bike out there, like a Ola or an Ather, right? Bounce was also about that, right? We were bridging the gap between. We started off by bridging the gap between aspiration and affordability through luxury bikes. We then started catering to people who were not able to afford a auto or a cab bike, equipping them with bikes. We then started selling bikes at a very affordable price. Then Namayatri happened, right? Namayatri taught me community. Namayatri taught me that if you treat drivers well, if you understand their pain points, and if you are able to build a product keeping them in the center, everyone is going to be happy in the ecosystem. Namayatri single handedly has disrupted this entire space, right? The entire pricing for all the companies changed because of one company, because they decided to be bold. They decided to think about the supply before the demand. And that is what we're doing here at Cautio as well. Like I said, right, we are okay to lose customers. We are okay to not grow, but we are not okay to, not listen to what feedback is coming in on a daily basis. All my customers are my friends. They all are on my speed dial. These are people I have met probably in the last 2 to 3 months. But I've built some great relations, and it is not ki, they're doing this because I'm the founder of this company. No, it's not that. It is just we exchange notes. We understand what is happening in his industry. He understands what's happening in my space. We figure out how can we make mobility safe together. There's something that we're doing now with, I'm not sure if you've heard of this influencer called Auto Kannadika, who is essentially putting placards in autos, helping people translate easily between English and Kannada, right? We decided that that's a great community initiative. We had nothing to do over there. We just, decided to help him put it in more autos. Some 5,000 autos is what we're going live with. And this is the kind of work that we want to do. We want to essentially be part of that ecosystem in some way or the other, encourage good behavior. Now that good behavior could be either through putting dash cams, or it could be through, speaking to the driver properly. Either ways, it is still going to contribute to the larger mission. That's how we are thinking. We're thinking community first, and every founder should think community. Every person should think about it.
How do you think about setting the culture at Cautio for all the Cautio team members? Like, is there something that you explicitly tell them that this is how we want to approach something?
Customer is king is truly what we believe in. I think that is the first thing that we speak about every day. Are our customers happy? Any new customers, any new pilots that are happening, are they happy? They're the fleet operators, right? More than that, are my consumers happy? More than customers being happy, consumers being happy is the most important thing for us. It's number one for us. Now, consumers are essentially my drivers and my passengers, right? They are the ones who are sitting, they're not paying for the service. if there is least amount of friction from them, that means they embrace the fact that there is something inside for their own safety. So these are the two things, at least from a customer POV or a consumer POV, that we look at very, very deeply. Outside of that, I think what we're trying to do is inculcate the habit of cross functional working, and that is primarily because safety is a topic which is emotional to everyone, right? Like, you will have people, I will have people I know. I have women and some few female colleagues of mine as well who have gone through it themselves, right? Only when you talk to each other about these incidents and you become open about it, right? Like, कि ये मेरे साथ हुआ था, ये मेरे साथ हुआ था, this happened with you, is when they start to really understand what the problem is. And only then will they think कि okay, my job will essentially help a passenger move safely. So safety is what we are. We are all about safety. We are a safety and security company, right? But we just do not want to be a safety and security company from a product POV. We want to be from a mindset POV as well. So our surveillance team, we have teams, we call it the command center. um, Command center's job is to ensure that all cameras are working. There's zero downtime. My tech is not crashing. My network provider is not crashing. And they understand it. They do it. They spend a few extra hours as well doing it, primarily because they understand if they don't do their job and if something goes wrong in that period, someone could be in trouble. That is the type of culture that we want to set.
So we spoke about prototyping. Now you must be in the middle of the journey of scaling. So what does the journey of scaling manufacturing look like?
It's, I think, fairly easier. I think the first few months is turbulent because you need to like get certifications, licenses. You need to understand supply chain in and out. You need to understand which port works well, where do we get in, what is the additional cost, what is the customs like. So there's a lot of friction for the first 2 3 batches of consignment that comes in, right? Kuch documents missing होते हैं because you really don't know, right? No one is coming and giving you a checklist कि ये करना है and your saman will be in the country, right? Now it has relatively become very easy for us. Now I think earlier the tat was also high because it used to, you need like multiple level of permissions for getting any consignment. And एक तो from the port where it is dispatching to the port where it is entering, then the bank you need to file with a BOE, then you need to inform RBI, bunch of things. It's a mess, right? And by the time you reach your fourth or fifth order, you exactly know, like you have made a checklist in your head. So now I don't get involved anymore. Rajiv is like, यार अभी मुझे पता है क्या करना है. You stay out of it, right? It's more like that. So it's a lot of learning process, especially keeping up to date with what port will allow what item, what is going to help me reduce the tat in terms of which country should I get it through, all of that, right? Understanding taxation is also extremely important, so we finally got an expert who's doing that for us. Supply chain, once, like I said, right, it is, even on the manufacturing side, we have capacity to do about 1 million cameras a year. So we are well equipped for that. We, of course, are not using that now. But it is about building relations with your manufacturer as well. I think one of the best things that Rajiv and primarily Rajiv has done is that he has a great working relationship with our partners. Now, what this essentially means is that you will not hear any company do prototypes of 10 units, 15 units, 20 units. Rajiv has gotten that done for us. तो हमें कभी कभी 10 कैमरा चाहिए था, 15 कैमरा. Why will someone set up a line to make 10 cameras for you? Our first order was 10 cameras. Second was some 30 cameras. Third was 100. Fourth was 300. Fifth was 500. Only now have we started giving orders in thousands, right? But that manufacturer has stuck with us for the last 1 year. And he has just helped us on a daily basis as to ये करना है, वो नहीं करना है, this is what is going to make sense, this is not going to make sense. So there's a lot of learning that happens while we do it together. I think, like I said, right, like even though my manufacturer is overseas, we still ensure that we maintain a good relationship. It's that community wala angle which is across the company. It doesn't matter whether you're my customer, whether you're my colleague, or whether you're my consumer. whoever is working with me goes through that same level of trust and belief and experience.
Let's say you're talking to a common Indian commercial driver. What would you say to them? Like, what kind of mindset to have when approaching driver to keep safety at the top of mind?
Yeah, one very interesting thing is we sell less to drivers now. Drivers understand. I can guarantee you downstairs, if we find any driver and I tell him or I show him that I have a camera in my car and what it has done for me, right? The first question he'll ask is, when can I buy it from you? I don't have to do the job of selling to a driver because they have lived that problem for the last 10, 15 years. They have seen Indian roads, they have seen Bangalore roads go through that, crazy down run right now. They go through issues. You pick up any driver, auto driver today, and we used to. So when I was at Namaya 3, right? So Shan and Max used to basically drive around the city as well. They were auto drivers at night. Once or twice, I have also done it. You ask any driver over there, they'll tell you, your Friday, Saturday, Sundays are extremely risky for us. You'll have drunk passengers who'll create a ruckus. You'll have people who'll not pay and run away. They'll select the option of cash, then कहीं गली वगैरह में they will ask you to drop them and then they'll run away. Now the auto driver can't leave his auto and run behind them, right? So we have had, like I said, right, zero cases of auto drivers, cab drivers, or any drivers tell us that we don't want it. They all say that, sir, ये हमारी safety के लिए. And I don't have to essentially sell over there anymore. That's the beauty of what we're trying to build. There is a real need for it. It is just because that no one has thought about it from first principles POV, the right product was not there. We identified that gap and we are trying to bridge that gap.
Let's go back to the journey of starting Cautio. So, what was your friends and family's reaction when you started this?
Uh, Friends were surprised because Namayatri is the new hot thing today. And I was fortunate to be part of the early team as one of the first hires in the non-tech, non-product line, right? And I was genuinely very, very happy. I think it was the most difficult decision leaving Namayatri and beginning this. Family also had questions, but they knew कि कुछ ना कुछ तो कर ही लेगा ये. So I think my dad and mom were very supportive. They also have, my dad also comes with a crazy good background of working with large companies, then working with startups, and then eventually starting something of his own. So he has that risk taking appetite. My mom is like कि यार तुम दोनों देख लो जो करना है तुम लोग को. So it's more like that. I mean, they were never against it. I never had that kind of pressure कि मत कर. People, I mean, most of the people around me knew that I was going to start up. People, it was just that matter of time कि कब करना है. But everyone knew it was a given that someday I was going to do it. I think I was the one who was delaying the process. I needed some, external push or some sort of, eureka moment. And this happened with Kausha as well. I mean, I had this dash cam thing in my head for so long. I still remember one fine day I woke up and that day I decided I'm quitting my job and I decided I'm doing it. And you enter into a zone where you don't want to think about the past anymore, right? You're like कि यही करना है, we'll figure out what happens. And that is a moment where you stop caring about everything. That was also the moment where I stopped caring about money. When I decided that I'm going to move out of my job and start doing something of my own, I think this is around October itself. It was everything happened within 24 hours. No one told me anything. It was just me. Woke up from my sleep. Maybe I would have seen some dream or something like that, and I was like, I'm doing this. And that moment, you don't care कि you have EMIs to pay for, you have rent to pay for, you have your cooking stuff, maid, etc. All of that. You're like कि figure out हो जाएगा. But if need be put in life savings, whatever it is, then let's do it. And I think that is what also convinced my parents that I just joined a company which was 7-8 months old. Google was going to fund them that time. We knew that Google was going to come on board. Would have had a very comfortable life. But still, I would have ended up doing the same thing, right? Like looking at safety and security and sitting in a corner and thinking, why is no one solving for it? And today I've been fortunate that I ended up having Namayatri as a client as well. Right? They're my customers. They've been my customers for so long. And every day it even though I'm not part of the ecosystem, but it still feels that I'm doing something with them, right? So I think universe has its ways, and so far no resistance from anywhere. It looks good.
So I'm thinking about when I talk about the subject of road safety among my friends and family. In India specifically, there seems to be a sense of apathy. It's like this is how things are and this is how they will be. Are there any like top myths or false beliefs that you think are there that are kind of perpetuating this belief?
I think one of the things that we realized is that it is very easy for us to blame drivers. We think that drivers are at fault, right? But if you look at data that I have gone through, of course, some of them are confidential data from call center teams, and basically a lot of reports. We've figured out that close to about 50 to 55, roughly about 50 to 60% of all allegations on drivers are false positive allegations. Now, it could be, like I said, right, the cases where there is a drunk passenger on board on a weekend, right? He or she might ask the driver to, go a few kilometers extra or take a U-turn or do a joyride. Or there are so many drunk customers who will ask the driver to drink, right? Some drivers might be chill about it, some drivers might not be chill about it, right? If you're not chill about it, that doesn't mean that you're a bad driver. It means that you're not endorsing that behavior. But the passenger has the power of social media. They'll just go put a tweet. They'll say that I was harassed, XYZ. What do you do over there? The driver will be the first one who's going to be at the line of fire, right? Or his auto, his car will get impounded. He will have to sit in the police station. He gets no legal representation. None of the fleet operators represent the driver, right? Loss of revenue for the vehicle. घर में उस दिन का रेवेन्यू नहीं आएगा, एज एन पैसे नहीं आएगा. सो it's all linked to each other, and people don't understand that. There are also cases, this is I think this was with one of the aggregators I was talking to while I was doing my research. And so in a cab, right, the driver is always sitting on the right side. The driver is driving for about 10 to 12 hours in a day, right? He gets sweaty and he will essentially be itching himself, right? When you're looking from behind, it looks like, he's doing something uncomfortable. This was, I think, with one of the ride operators about 2 years back, close to about 20 to 25% of cases were just this. That the driver was sweaty, he was uncomfortable. That's about it. Summers mein tha wo, that too, right? And he can't switch on the AC and keep it running throughout the day, right? Now, these are things that, we as people are not told about. This is not something that will come in the newspaper. It's not sexy enough for the newspaper to cover it. Newspaper will cover it only if, the headline reads that, auto driver did this XYZ to a passenger. That is what we wanted to solve for. We want to solve for hearsay. I truly believe that there are very, very good drivers. Like Auto Kannadiga, Aju Bhai, we call him Aju Bhai. He says the same thing. He's like, भाई है लोग खराब है ऑटो ड्राइवर्स बट इट्स नॉट एवरी वन इट्स अ वेरी स्मॉल सिग्निफिकेंट इनसिग्निफिकेंट पार्ट ऑफ द सोसाइटी राइट एंड दे आर द वंस हु क्रिएट अ रकस जिसकी वजह से हमारे पूरे कौम का नाम खराब होता है राइट he essentially is doing his bit to endorse the fact that all auto drivers are not bad. He's doing his bit by whatever initiative he's doing right now. We need more people like him to come out and publicly talk about it. Because till the time I have become understanding or empathetic about auto drivers or cab drivers or any fleet aggregator, primarily because I was told to speak to them first before making a decision or understanding or making a basically perceiving that this is okay, this is not okay. That is again thanks to community, thanks to Namayatri teaching us that on a daily basis. But that is what we want to solve for. If you want to build a business in India where you want to cater both to customers and there is an end user who is also your consumer, learn to reduce friction between all of them and be keep hearing them, keep understanding what is it that they want, because if you keep speaking to them, they will pay you whatever you want to.
What is next for Cautio? What are you looking forward to in the next 6 to 12 months?
I think we're just getting started. We want to, of course, double down in terms of deployment and in terms of getting more people. But moreover, I think we want to now. So I've been talking about Dashcams, doing a lot of things in Bangalore with the team around endorsing about the usage of Dashcams, or talking, or some partnerships that we've done here. We want to take it to India now. We want to take it to at least one more city, and that is up north. Delhi NCR is what we want to make safe. So we have A, on a city expansion, we're looking at moving to another city. B, I think we're sitting on solid demand right now. In fact, touchwood, we are in a position where we have stopped taking new orders, new clients, primarily because of the organic demand that has come in. We are comfortable. We are gearing up to deploy close to about 27,000 devices by September, and this will be spread across customers that we have already signed up. So we have some great partnerships that we are going to announce soon, and we are also going to double down on building safety products. So we're going to come up with something super interesting, which will primarily help reduce the friction further between the driver and passenger. So we are essentially thinking again from the same angle कि यार driver को क्या चाहिए, passenger को क्या चाहिए. How do we make them friends? What can we do over there? So we're building some community tools around that as well. But yeah, we are going to go deeper on the operating system. Operating system is the real motor of what we're trying to do. We are a tech first company. So there will be some new levels of analytics that will come in, where you'll be able to understand what's happening in and around you, what's happening on the road, what is an ideal speed to move at, which roads to avoid, etc. All of that. I think hardware has already gone through that journey for a year. Hardware will probably take a little bit of break, and we will continue to use the current hardware. Of course, on a firmware level, there's going to be a lot of work that will happen. And yeah, that's about it. I think we will probably not sign any new customers during this journey, but at least for the next couple of months, 6 months at least. But there could be exceptions. We have, of course, educational institute is something that we don't say no to, because it's student safety, right? So any college that comes to us, we so far have, I think, sixth college. We are at our sixth college right now, and one school, and ambulances. So there are some critical categories for us where safety is core. We definitely ensure that we solve for it. Trucking as a category, we're doing it slowly. Then all those vehicles that move inside resorts, right, buggies, that is where safety problem is low, so we don't really go deep over there. But ambulances, we are doing it. We're doing educational institutes. These are some categories that we want to double down on.
Look, thanks so much for doing this. I think it was super educational for me. And as we discussed, that India is really at rock bottom in terms of road safety, and there's nowhere to go but up. I'm super glad to know that like you and Kaushu are like doing something to kind of meaningfully improve the situation.
Thank you so much, Aditya. Thank you. Perfect.